So in this video, we're going to be looking at looping or iteration in Visual Basic. Looping essentially gives us the ability to repeat certain segments of our code so that we don't have to basically reinvent the wheel, if I should say, for lack of a better word. So to get us started, let's actually declare a module called program. And inside of this module, we are going to have a subroutine called main, which is going to be the entry point for our program. So we are going to declare main is a string array. Then we can look at the first loop, which is the for next loop in Visual Basic. So maybe what we can do, let's suppose that we wanted to output the numbers 1 to 10 in our program. So the way you can go about it using the for next loop is to go with for. Then we just want to print a number, that's the variable name. So we want to print it as an integer. Then this number is going to assume values from 1 to 10. Right, then what we can do is we can go console dot write line. Then we simply want to print now printing. Then we concatenate with the number as it were. Then I think that's all we need to do for this program. Let's go ahead and run it and see what we get in the console. Okay, so the output now, it's all in one line. So this is not what we want, right? So let's fix this. What we can do is, after printing the number, we can then put a new line at the end of that number so that the next output goes on to the next line. So let's just fix that, run the program one more time. Okay, still getting the same problem. Now printing 1, now printing 2, now printing 3. It's just put a space, but it's not putting a new line, as it were. This is where the problem is. I used console.write, not console.writeLine. So that's why I was getting that error there. So let's run. So this time around, we should get our output with each number on a new line, just like so. So this is how you can actually go about making use of a for next loop in Visual Basic. So you realize that this kind of loop structure is more or less similar to how you would go about it in pseudocode, which is one of the main reasons why Visual Basic is still being used for this particular course. For its similarity to pseudocode, but in the actual programming world, it's no longer that popular, as it were, because it's been superseded by newer languages like C#. So nonetheless, it's still a programming language and it's still around, so that's why we are still using it. But it really doesn't have any value out there in the programming world anymore, because it's been replaced by newer and more modern programming languages. But anyway, let's go ahead to look at another type of loop that you can use. So this time around, let's use a for each loop to do the same task. So maybe what we can do right here is we can simply console dot line. Then we can just print a couple of hyphens there, so that we put some sort of like border between the first output and this other output that we're going to have. So this for each loop is it's more ideal for outputting values that are inside of an array, if I should say. So I know we haven't looked at arrays, but I'm just going to go ahead and declare an array in this case. I'm going to call it numbers. Then it's going to be a numbers, an array of integers, or maybe let's just make it an array of strings. But since we said we wanted to do the same thing, let's just make it an array of integers, just like that. integer. So the way you declare an array in Visual Basic is to make use of the parentheses. So you have the name of the array, rather the data type followed by the parentheses there. Then we can actually initialize our array with the 10 numbers as it were. So remember, we want to do the same task as we did previously. So we just want to output numbers 1 to 10. So numbers, those are the elements inside of the array. So now we want to output each of these numbers using a for each statement or a for each loop. So we can go for each, then let's just call the current number num. Then we can use the in keyword. So we are saying for a number in numbers, what do we want to do with that? We simply want to console dot write line. Then we just print. Maybe we can just print. We can say printing. Then we append, or rather we concatenate with the number that we want to print. So num will be num. Yeah, let's run this one and see the output in the console. So you see right there that this first output we are making use of a for next loop. Then this one we are making use of a for each. So remember, I said that the for each loop it's better suited for iterating elements that are inside of a data structure, something like an array. Is it because you're saying for each of these, for each element in that data structure, I want to do something. Then the for next it's better suited for doing count controlled or counter controlled actions, like maybe you know that you want to output, you want the code to run maybe 7 times, is it? So you just specify your range like that. Then maybe we wouldn't, it wouldn't be complete if we didn't talk about discussion on the for each statement wouldn't be complete if we didn't talk about the break. Sorry, not break. Break is in Java. It's actually exit and the exit statement and the continue statement in Visual Basic. So what we can do is we can actually declare an integer called maybe what we can do inside of here, instead of console.writeLine, right? Maybe let's say inside of this arrays, numbers array, we want to skip all the even numbers. So what we can do is we can say if num is let's say if num mod 2 gives us a 0, right? So basically we are checking to see if the number divided by 2 gives us a remainder of 0. That means that number is an even number, is it? So we want to do something. So what we want to do is to continue. We don't want to print that statement. So we can say continue for, right? Then after that we simply want to, after performing that check, we just want to console dot write line. Then we can say printing. Then we can concatenate the number there, is it? So basically what this code is doing is that we have this list of this array of numbers, right? 1 to 10. Then we want to output these numbers from 1 to 10, is it? But if the number is an even number, we don't want to output it. So basically we want to output the odd numbers between 1 and 10, ignoring the even numbers. So this if statement is actually performing that check for us to see if a number is even. So let's actually go ahead and run that code so that you can actually see the output in the console. So what you see is that we are simply going to print 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9, is it? And we are basically skipping all the even numbers that are inside of this array. So that's how you can make use of the continue for statement. Then you can also do the same thing with a similar keyword in Visual Basic that is usually used to break out of a loop. So remember, the continue skips certain elements inside of the loop. Then if you want to skip exit the loop after you found something, maybe let's say that we were performing a linear search, is it? And we want to say Actually, let me just demonstrate that. Down here. So let's say using exit 4, right? So what we want to do is let's declare an array called fruits as a string, right? So remember, this is we want to store the number of the fruits, not the number of fruits rather, but some names of fruits. So we can have apples. Let's just call it fruit 1. Then we can have a banana. Then we can have perhaps a pineapple. Then maybe let's have one last fruit. We can have a plum, maybe. Then let's say that my search item is I want to maybe dim search item. Then let's say I want to search for a banana. Actually, maybe let me make it a pineapple so that our loop at least runs for 2 iterations. So search item is in pineapple. So let's say for each fruit F, so I'm just gonna make it F in fruits. What do I want to do? I want to check if the search item, if F, that is the current fruit, is equal to the search item. So if F is equal to the search item, it means that I found the fruit that I'm looking for. So in that case, I simply want to exit the for loop, is it? Then I can just output console. Rather, once I find it, right, I want to console dot write line. Then I say found, is it? Otherwise, if I don't find what I'm looking for, then I will simply console dot write line. Actually, maybe let's just get to do this. I don't think we even need it because I just want to demonstrate what the exit from does. So because it's making the code unnecessarily longer, maybe let's just go ahead and run this. See what we have going on here. So you see that it's going to say found, is it? Essentially, it iterated through each element that is inside of this list, and it was checking to see if that element is equal to pineapple. So since we find it, we found pineapple, right? We can actually maybe let me improve the code a little bit. So I can say found it. So we can say found it. Then we can specify the index item for the fruit. So we can go fruits. Then we can say index now. Should best work with the for each. Okay, maybe we'll do this later on as we progress with the tutorial. But yeah, so that's what I wanted to demonstrate, the exit for loop. So it essentially breaks out of a loop, as it were. Then another type of loop that we have in Visual Basic is the while loop. So let's actually go ahead here and demonstrate how a while loop works. So while so let's just print numbers 1 to 10 again, just as before. So what we can do is we can declare a value, 2 values rather, lower, not lava, lower than upper, as we'll declare this as integer. If I can spell integer correctly. Then I could actually assign these values right here. Okay, maybe I can just do it right here. Lower is equal to 1, then upper is equal to 10, right? Then what I want to do is while lower is less than or equal to upper, right? I want to output the value of what of lower. So what I can do is print lower. Then for a while loop now you need to be careful, because since this is not a count controlled loop, right, you need to take care to make sure that you always increment the value of the loop control variable. Also in this particular case, the loop control variable is the lower, is it? So each time the loop runs, it's going to check the value of lower to see if it is less than or equal to the upper value, is it? So if you don't increment it, right, it's actually going to stay 1, is it? So this condition is always going to be true. So the loop will run perpetually without end. So the way you want to make sure is that it terminates is to make sure that you put this lower is equal to lower plus 1. Essentially you are incrementing the value of lower each time the loop runs, is it? So that eventually lower is going to be equal to 10, and that's how the loop is going to end. So we can actually go ahead and run this code, and you see that we get numbers 1 to 10. So this is this output right here. It's being given by the what? By the while loop, right? So what we can do now is we can look at the other type of loop, the last kind of loop, which is the do loop, or the do while loop. So again, we just want to do the same thing, output numbers 1 to 10, but this time around using a do while loop. So here what we can do is we can declare let's declare more values. So we can declare x as an integer, right? Then we can also declare y as an integer. That's not what I meant to do. I meant to copy this. Then declare x as integer, declare y as integer. Then we can assign values to x and y. Right, so x we can make it 1, and we can also make y 10 in this particular instance. Then with the do while loop, we simply want to say do while x is less than or equal to y, then what we want to do, rather it's simply do, right? It's simply do. Then we want to console dot write line. Then we want to print the value of x. Then down there, that's when we are going to check rather we can actually increment the value of x right here. So x is equal to x plus 1. Then loop while then the condition x is less than or equal to y, is it? So do console dot write line loop while that is less than that x is less than or equal to y. So let's actually go ahead and run this. Maybe what we can do is we can take that that border that we used prior, then just paste it over here so that we can actually have a separation of outputs, as it were. So let's see our loops in action. So here you see that we get, so this is the while loop output, and this is the do while loop output. So one thing that you notice with these loops is that pretty much they do the same thing, is it? But of course you just have to decide which kind of loop that you can use, but it's not really necessary to well, of course some loops are better suited for other tasks. Like for instance, the for next loop is better suited for counter controlled situations, whereby whilst the while loop is better suited for searching, same as the for each, is it? So the for each is better suited for searching data structures. Then the while loop is actually better suited for searching maybe text files. So is the do while loop. But I think you've seen from the output that these loops, they basically do the same thing. So yeah, that's one thing that you always need to bear in mind whenever you're using loops. Then of course, remember you can in much the same way as you can use continue with a for loop, right? You can also use continue with a while loop, and you can also use continue with a do loop to skip over certain elements. Then you can also use exit to break out of a do while loop, and you can also use exit to break out of a while loop. So maybe let's say if you wanted to exit out of a while loop, you just use exit while, and that would work. So yeah, I think that's just about it for this episode. I think this one is one of the longest episodes we've had, but I wanted to cover everything so that you guys won't have any issues with these loops. So yeah, that's just about it for this episode. I'll see you in the next one.